In this short video, I will show you how to configure KStars and set up the basic settings that you may need to set up before you can start using it. KStars is a free and open source astronomy software which you may download from edu.kde.org/KStars. It is well supported on Linux, has some support on Windows, and it's fully free and open source. It's part of the KDE ecosystem, although it will run on without KDE desktop. So when you start up KStars for the first time, you will probably see a setup wizard like this, which will help you set up some very basic things. First, you would like to set up your city, so you can type a city name to get a filter and then choose the city that you live in or you observe from. Then there is an option to download extra data, which I will show a little bit later. So let us just say OK and finish this wizard. Now it has set the location to the location I chose. You can usually get some useful tips like this, or if you don't like to be interrupted, you can disable it. Okay, let's full screen that. So over here, this section of the toolbar shows you zoom in, zoom out, and find object. Here's some time rate of flow settings. You can stop the simulation clock so that it takes less CPU, but then it won't keep track of the sky as it moves, and so on. In this section you can enable, so this section starting from here all the way to there, you can enable and disable various things that are shown. For example, I can hide all the stars, although I don't know why one would want to do that. You can hide the deep sky objects. That's kind of useful. You can hide planets, which is also useful. These are for supernovae, satellites, and so on and so forth. There is also constellation art, which you can turn on and off. Just fancy depictions of the mythological characters behind the constellations. More useful things for amateur astronomers are constellation lines. These are the way we usually visualize shapes of constellations, and constellation boundaries. What you're also seeing, these lines are the altazimuth grid, and I can turn it off or turn it on. There's also an equatorial grid which shows the right ascension declination coordinates. You can turn on and off the horizon. And constellation names and so on and so forth. Now I'm more interested in exploring this menu, which I got by clicking on settings and going to configure KStars. Here you can tweak things like the density of stars. If you increase that slider, it will show you more stars, and you can toggle showing the name of stars, magnitude. This is the density of star name labels, so if I increase it, it'll be cluttered with names of stars, as you can see. So you can also and then you can also configure deep sky catalog similarly. For example, now it's going to show me some of the names of deep sky objects. You can start seeing it's showing you M47 there, NGC 2264, so on and so forth. Now here you can enable and disable catalogs. So maybe you don't want the NGC, and so now it should not show you any NGC objects. It's just showing you Messier objects, so on and so forth. So that's the catalog tab. I will demonstrate these more advanced features of being able to load other catalogs at a later point of time. Okay, so in the solar system there is the usual thing. You can toggle the various planets, asteroids, comets. You can show trails. I'll show this feature in a bit. Then there's the satellite feature. Then there's a supernovae feature. The guides feature is useful. We have multiple constellation line patterns that correspond to various cultures. So if you choose something else, for example Korean, then it'll show you it'll connect the constellations as described in and describe them as described in Korean culture. Similarly, there's a number of cultures. So normally we would want it in Western if we are following the standard IAU constellations. There's constellation boundaries, constellation art, which I have already demonstrated. So let us so here's where you can enable or disable things like markings like the celestial equator. So now the celestial equator is marked, and those numbers are the hours of right ascension on that. Or you can show the ecliptic, and there's the ecliptic in brown. That's the plane of the solar system projected on the sky. And then if you go to colors, we have a bunch of color schemes. The easier way to access this, I'll show you the easier way to access this in a bit. Here you can completely configure color schemes, describe how you want to set the colors shown by KStars for various things. In the advanced tab, you have some pretty advanced features such as atmospheric refraction, relativity effects near the sun. This is mostly for demonstration purposes, and this is an advanced feature. I recommend that you leave it at always recompute coordinates. It's an optimization testing beta feature. DSS imagery, we'll come back to that in a later video. Here's how to set up your you can set up your look and feel, animate its viewing. So if you say go to something, should you animate the map, so on and so forth. And we'll come back to observing list later again. So that's the settings dialog in a nutshell. I'm going to show you how to set up color schemes from here. So if you go to settings and say color schemes, you can already choose this here. This scheme called star chart is very useful if you are exporting a sky map. So actually let's get rid of some of those guides that might be confusing. So that I pulled up for demonstration. Okay, so it didn't load the color scheme correctly. So let's go and change it back and forth, and it'll be all right. So in the star chart color scheme, this is ideal for if you're exporting a printed star chart or something. I like the moonless night color scheme when I'm just using KStars, and when I'm using it on the field and I want to preserve my night vision, there's the night vision color scheme, which is all red, and so it preserves your night vision. And other useful things here are, let me go back to moonless night for now. Other useful things here are FOV symbols. You can specify the field of view of your telescope or ocular or what camera or whatever that is, so that you know what part of the sky you're seeing. For example, I'm going to say new FOV symbol, and let's give it a name. This is going to be, let us say you have 1,000 millimeters focal length telescope. So so let's enter that, and you're using a 9 millimeter eyepiece on it. So 9 mm, and let's say it's a Nagler eyepiece from Teleview on 1,000 on, or well, let's say you have only one scope, that's 1,000 millimeters. So now I choose the Teleview Nagler, and that's 82 degrees apparent field of view. So it's computed the field of view for me, and I choose a circular shape, and so now I've configured that, and I just need to go and enable it. So now I have the field of view of my 9mm Nagler eyepiece on a 1000mm focal length scope plotted for my convenience. So I know what I'm looking at with the eyepiece. You can have multiple FOVs. You can enable multiple FOVs at the same time. You can give them different colors so you can identify them if you don't use a red screen filter, and so on. Now you can, these info boxes here that tell you what is the current state. By the way, this shows you what object you are centered on. So if I center on Pollux, it shows you what. So that's it was saying that it was centered on nothing. So I can show or hide these info boxes from here in case you want more screen real estate or something. Similarly, you can show or hide the status bar, which is down here. Usually the status bar shows the coordinates of where my mouse cursor is, and that is also actually configurable. As you can see here, you can say I don't want to see alt as coordinates. Finally, I should talk a little bit about coordinates. KStars can display the sky map in equatorial coordinates as well as horizontal coordinates. So if I go here and say switch to star globe view, equatorial coordinates, then up at any point, up, the direction up points, the upward direction points towards north. And if I choose horizontal view, horizontal coordinates, then it's going to keep the ground as reference. So up points towards the zenith. So it's the direction of altitude. So that's sometimes useful depending on how you want to view the map. We also have a number of projections. You can choose orthographic projection. Oops, there's some problem here. Okay, I just need to zoom in and zoom out. It's a redrawing problem. Or I can choose stereographic projection. Again, same problem. Or I can choose gnomonic projection, which is this weird projection that uses a gnomon. So that's pretty much it. You can go look through these menus and you'll find a lot more options. We'll come back to some of the powerful tools that KStars has later. Thank you very much for your watching this video.